Energy! Energy! It's what this room needs. Right. So the other guys are gone and I am left alone with Rekkles. Thank you so much for joining me, man. You've just been streaming just literally over there. How's that been going?
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was quite a while ago I streamed, so a bit nervous maybe, and I had not the best games, but it was great fun to be back because I had a period where I was sick and then I kind of went into the whole holiday thing where I met up with all my friends and family, and then I headed over here, and I feel like I'm back into the mood now, so I want to get as high as possible on the ladder and perhaps gain myself a medallion and a challenger jacket.
Would be nice.
That would be nice.
Even like I think even when your work is playing games for a living, coming back from holiday is still tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It's a tough transition to kind of get back into that like.
But it almost feels sometimes that it's like in your backbone or something, because even if I take like 2 weeks break or 3 weeks break and then I come back, my first game is still just fine. Like I don't feel like I dropped too much skill or anything. Probably the biggest difference is like if you're comfortable or not, because it's a bit weird to sit in front of the PC if you're not used to it. But it feels like I've played League for so long now that I will always like be able to do so on a high level. Yeah.
Good stuff, man. So I've got a quote from you, and this is probably as low as it'll get, but you said in an interview, sometimes things will happen that you never expect, but it does not mean you should give up. It simply means you should keep trying. What's your personal summary of why you think the Fnatic team didn't make the Worlds this year?
I feel like the biggest problem we had is that we didn't play that well together. I feel like many teams came together at the end of summer and played like their A game as 5, even though they perhaps weren't having the best individuals, and I felt like we could actually match them on an individual level. But the fact that we weren't playing that well together actually hurts us a lot, especially when the game transitioned into a very stable 2v2 one-on-one lane setup. If you weren't making these proactive plays together, you weren't really getting anywhere. Meanwhile, the lane swap meta was more kind of simpler to like have an impact in. So I feel like that hurt us the most, and that's probably the thing I'll be emphasizing on the moving forward as well, because I feel like these past 2 years, even though like last year we were super successful when we felt together against Crew Tigers, we were struggling like keeping the team chemistry up, and I feel like the same thing kind of happened this year. So moving into next year, I really want to emphasize on getting a group that really wants to play together and will do everything for each other.
So, I mean, that seems to be a recurring theme. Like, when I was talking to Crims earlier, he said, like, the reason initially he lost Fnatic was just that the team wasn't kind of working together. A lot of people think that it's just down to skill, it's just being good at a game, but...
That's just the base, though. Everything else is what actually matters. And for us this year, it wasn't working out. And I really want to make sure that next year is going to be a different year for us.
And how did the fans react to it? I mean, obviously, the fans of any sports team, a real fan is someone who kind of sticks with them through the good and the bad, I guess.
I think everyone was disappointed, and that goes for the players as well, and for the organization, and for everyone behind the scenes. I think this year for us has been incredibly tough, even though there was some moments of greatness, for example, going to IEM and coming back together and actually playing really well together and grabbing the 2nd place there, and then going from the 6th place in the ladder to 3rd place was also like something that I felt like we actually achieved together. But then going into the summer, I'm not really sure actually what happened, because to begin with we were playing really well, but then we kind of started crumbling and making roster changes, and then we never really got back into that team mode that so many other teams were in, and we didn't play as well as we perhaps should have, and also perhaps as well as people thought we would. So that was really disappointing towards the fans for sure.
I think you've just been given a...
Thank you.
A bonus microphone, there you go. So do you feel like just, I guess, being put on forced leave with the sickness to start with and then going on holiday, do you think that actually helps a lot with just sort of clearing your head and just stepping away from the screen for a while helped?
I think it helps, but I feel like I've been around for enough now to keep myself in a healthy state of mind always, including when I'm not down in Berlin and playing together with the guys. So I wasn't too worried, when I took this break, because it has happened actually before, and I've always managed to come back even stronger, because actually I feel like if anything these breaks help, because you kind of drop these bad habits that you develop if you spam the games too much.
Right.
you kind of go into a habit that I have to base here and I have to buy these items, and then you kind of broaden your mind by going on a break. So
It's like, what if?
yeah.
And
So by anything, I think it helps that to go on a break, and especially like if I get the friends' opinions and family's opinions, then I can maybe even develop as a player in a greater way than if I were to play the game.
So you've talked about sort of rebuilding the team. I mean, how did you feel about Yellow Star basically retiring from active play and then going off and joining the newfound Paris Saint-Germain team as their head of esports?
I think I wasn't the only one who felt like this might be the year that Bora retires. Obviously, it saddens me because we've been playing with each other for ages now, it feels like. And he's been a big part of my career, and yeah, it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I respect this decision, and I'm really happy for him that he got such a place in esports, because if anything, I'm actually almost envy of him, and I'm sure many others are as well. But I know he will do well there. He's a very mature guy, and it fits him really well.
And what's your opinion of football teams like PSG sort of moving into the esports realm? Do you think that is only serving to really like legitimize esports as a as a real sport?
I think it definitely helps. I mean, to grow the scene and everything. Obviously, though, like some of the teams that have come in and like bought a team and tried to perform haven't really done so. But I think with time, definitely they will, and especially now that PSG is starting from scratch, something that Origin did as well in season 5. I think they have really good chances of like putting together a strong roster and coming together in the challenger scene and then qualifying for the LCS and then potentially for Worlds as well. So I think that's probably the better path than what previous teams have done with buying out and instantly playing in the LCS with like no real background behind it. So I think PSG's move that they made now together with Bora is a good one, and it will definitely move the scene in the right direction.
Excellent, man. And so, as you say, we're kind of moving towards a new team to kind of build around you. I mean, how are you working with the coaches? How are you working with those guys to find the right players and find the right sort of chemistry with a new team?
I guess that's the biggest reason as to why I came here to London, because I wanted to be part of the discussions, and I wanted to be a part of everything. I wanted to help out as much as I can. Obviously, I don't have like the same tools as perhaps the coach and the upper management does, but if my opinion helps by any means, then I want to be able to give it. So coming here is hopefully gonna end up with us going home with more of like a same idea on how we want the team to be. And so far, we haven't really had too many discussions since Nico came in last evening, but I think tomorrow we'll sit down and have a longer discussion about how we want to move forward with the team. And I am really positive to what the future has to offer, because last year it was really stressed in a way because we didn't really expect Huni, Reynor and Bora to leave, so we weren't prepared to make like the necessary moves to pick up players with the same strength. But this year I feel like we have had discussions for such a long time already, and we have brought up many names, and I feel like if anything, we'll be really prepared moving into the next season.
So unsurprisingly, when we asked the fans to send you some questions, we got quite a lot of them. So we had to like sift through. We have so many, but let's try and get through as many as we can. Fnatic Mendez likes the team so much, his Twitter handle has Fnatic in it. Just asks, do you think 2017 will be a better year, and why?
I think 2017 will be better than 2016 for sure. Honestly, I don't think it can get much worse than it did this year, and that doesn't mean that it was any player's fault or anything. It just felt like it was getting worse and worse and worse. You know, we were replacing player after player and then coach, and it was just a mess all in all. And I think it's gonna be hard to do something similar again with everyone learning from it as well. So as I mentioned before, I think we'll be really prepared moving in for the next season.
Cool, man. We have Atrix on Twitter says he's a big fan, of course, and wants to ask, how do you stay away from tilt and keep composure?
I think in my early days as a professional player, I had struggles with tilt, and I was even at times toxic, which is something I'm pretty sure every league player has gone through. But I feel like over the years, I kind of slowly but surely realized that it doesn't bring me anything really outside of just letting the frustration out. But there's so many other ways to do it. So I think I just matured in that manner, and it allowed me to like confront the tilt rather than just let it happen. So these days I consider myself a really stable player in all circumstances. If it's solo queue, if it's a competitive game, if it's a long best of 5, it's all the same to me, and I feel like I'm someone people can rely on when it comes to those sort of things. Yeah.
So you want to channel the tilt and kind of actually make that improve your play, I guess, rather than affect it. Cool, man. And then Whip Lindemann says, what do you normally do during your free time if you're not streaming?
Well, starting in summer, as I mentioned at some points, I started going to the gym a lot with Bora, and I feel like that has taken a big part of my life now. And it's pretty nice as well, because I finally have something that I can put emphasis on that isn't related to gaming by any means. Other than that, especially now that I'm home, I hang out a lot with my friends and family. I try to meet them up after they're done with their school or work, and we go for cinema or bowling or anything just casually fun. And I try to enjoy the time as much as I can, because I know that once we get back in Berlin in January, it's serious business, and I don't want to regret not spending more time with my family and friends.
Absolutely, and somebody did actually ask that. Janja Slejko, I'm murdering these names, I'm really sorry, but they've asked, how is it when you are living so far from your family for an extended period of time?
It's pretty hard, actually, especially now that I kind of, like this split, or this year in general, was really stressful, and I didn't end up going home as much as I should have probably. And if anything, that actually is bad by me, because I think going home will actually give me like a different perspective on the situation, maybe even a solution on what we can do to get back into things. But it's definitely hard, and it feels like every time I come home I have to kind of start off from scratch with all my friends and family. Like, there's so much to talk about, you know, we haven't seen them for months, and it's always like a hard time to begin with, but then at the same time you've known each other for so long that it's also so nice to see each other that
you quickly settle back into it, though. You just
it's definitely like a special feeling seeing old friends and family, for sure.
Good stuff. Diddy Siri wants to know, a lot of people were wondering this actually, like, when was the last time you spoke with Deft? The ongoing bromance.
I spoke to him at some point during Worlds. I think it was during the groups. And then I think I wrote to him after they lost in their quarterfinals, but I don't think he responded to that yet. But
took it hard.
Yeah, I understand him though. It's tough, especially for him, who's always been considered like one of the best ADs, if not the best AD, for a while now, to not reach further than the quarterfinals. I mean, last year they lost to us as well, so I can definitely like relate to how he feels. And
there were tears for that one, I remember.
Yeah.
But he was someone like, I guess, you looked up to as you were.
I still do. I think he's a great player, and he still has so much room to grow. He's a young guy. Like, he's born 96 as I am. So now that I heard he was considering going somewhere else, I think, I mean, everyone always says that now it's Deft's time to shine, but if anything, now it really is. Like, if he goes to a Korean team and he finally gets as comfortable as he deserves to be in a team, I can really understand how it is to play in China with like language barriers, because that's basically Europe these days with all the Koreans.
Yeah.
But I think if he were to go to a Korean team and not have these issues, he would perhaps reach his like ultimate form, and he would maybe be the player that people expect him to be.
Amazing. I'd like to see Deft reach his ultimate form. That's a good image. Sir Gentle Wolf, good Twitter name. I like that one. Says, what would you have done after school if you hadn't taken the opportunity to become an esports player?
I was studying computer technology in school. I only did 1 year in high school, but I found it great fun actually, and I was really interested in like that sort of stuff. Even though these days I obviously don't spend too much thinking about it, but at the time I was actually really happy with the direction things were going, and with me choosing that school. Even though it was hard to begin with, because I'm born and I come from a city that's quite far out of Gothenburg. So we were kind of like, everyone knew everyone, but once you got out of the city, no one knew no one. So going like to Gothenburg and studying there with none of my friends was a really hard step, but I was still really happy that I did it, because I enjoyed it so much. And then it kind of just happened that I became pro. It wasn't like something I planned or anything. It was just, yeah.
Just kind of
part of the journey.
naturally rolled into it.
Yeah, part of the journey.
Cool, man. Leon Kuzmanovsky, I think I got that one right, said, well, I guess on that note that you only did a year in high school, what did your parents say when you told them that you were going to take on gaming full time?
I think I remember the first time. The first time I mentioned it, it was when I was playing with SK actually, and that was like way back in season 2, early season 2, when I first got discovered by Ocelot, and there was talks about like gaming houses becoming a thing before it actually happened. Yeah. And when I mentioned it, they were kind of like laughing me in the face, and it was really different from a couple of months later when I played DreamHack and I went to Las Vegas and I did all these things, and my family actually started realizing how big this was, where they almost even pushed me to like, you have to go. So it was strange to see how fast the development went, even just inside the family. But once like I got the offer from Fnatic to come down in season 3 and play together with the guys to eventually prepare myself for season 4, I wasn't the only one who wanted to go down there, that's for sure.
Absolutely. So I guess now they're kind of your biggest fans, I guess.
I think especially my mom and sister watches almost every game I play, so I would definitely put them up there.
How long did it take to kind of school them in the sort of the rules
my,
and the subtleties, I guess?
My sister actually played League herself. I think she got silver 4 or something in last season, so it was great fun seeing her play. Yeah.
It runs in the family.
Yeah, but my mom never played. But even my dad understands the game. They watch so much now over the years that they understand the basics, and they can like relate to when I'm not having a good game and actually ask me about it after, rather than me having to tell them that today wasn't a good day. They can understand it already, and that's a really nice thing to have, because then I can instantly talk to them without getting the frustration of having to explain what happened.
Explain every little bit. It's like, okay. Dima Krasovsky says, I mean, what are your plans for the future? Do you see yourself competing in esports for a long time, or do you have different long-term goals?
I have an idea of what I want to do after I'm done playing, which is something similar to what Krepo did. I'm not sure how I would be in front of the caster desk, but I know that I have a lot of knowledge in my head that I could share on the analyst desk for sure. But as of right now, I still feel like I'm open to playing a lot of years, and I feel like I'm a really disciplined person, so I won't allow myself to like slack or whatever you want to call it. I would play and put my heart into it every year, even though I get older, and I still see myself playing in a couple of years. So for now, I haven't really thought too much about it, but I really enjoyed being on the analyst desk, that's for sure.
So I guess, I mean, as long as the passion for the game remains, and that they keep bringing in new characters all the time for you to kind of deal with and change your strategies, as long as the game's kept interesting, I guess it's interesting for you.
Like, I still enjoy playing League a lot. Obviously, it's not the same as when you began and you would like not sleep at night and you would just play like 2 days straight and go to LANs with your friends, and like League was so fun. It's maybe not the same these days because you've played so many hours, almost years now it feels like. But I still really enjoy the game, and I think even though maybe there would be like, there is times when you don't enjoy the game as much as you used to, or you sometimes do. I'm so disciplined with myself that I wouldn't allow myself to like take a day off or take a week off. Obviously, if you're sick, then that's it. Or obviously now that I'm home and there's no tournaments to play for, that's another thing as well. But during the LCS season, I would never see myself not playing the game to 110%.